Warm greetings, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. This session is conducted with the support of Water Resources Council of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and in collaboration with W4W Foundation and media partner Counterview. My name is Dr Bhargav from the House of W4W as well as heading the Wiki Water Resource Council at this moment. We are glad to do this conversation, namely Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, which we co-equally refer as Blue Lips. The conversation is aimed to share the worries and the wisdom by the woman for the woman of the woman in the water sector. In here, we hope to learn about the water endeavors of the woman as well as men we have done in the past in the regular disciplined manner like a master class. This is also meant to actually increase the outreach of not only their work but also increase the confidence among the younger generation of women in the sector that we can make it. In this session today, we are here to listen and learn more about Dr. Suparna Katyaini and Dr. Suchiradipta Bhattacharjee. Thank you so much, Suparna and Suchiradipta, for agreeing to do this session. This has been very, very difficult to organize these Monday sessions with women. I know they are busy, but I'm really grateful that you managed to be in our 100 sessions when we close this conversation, by the way, because it's part of a larger research I'm conducting on women in the sector. Before I invite you for this conversation, it is going to be flowing like water, a very candid conversation on life of women in water. And in here, we are going to learn your lives. I just do a brief introduction of both of you for keeping it on record here. Dr. Suparna Katyaini is an interdisciplinary social ecological research with specialization in water resource governance. And she brings together natural and social sciences. And before joining CEEW, where she's placed today, she was also an assistant professor at TIS Hyderabad, where actually I also met her there. And since then, we have been having her also in our W4W sessions on Wednesdays for Water. So welcome back, Suparna, and really excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Then we have Dr. Suchiradipta Bhattacharjee. I'm going to keep it easy for me and call her Sushi, as she has given me permission to do so. She is a social scientist at the IMI, which is International Water Management Institute, and she focuses on water policies and governance. Her work bridges research and policy on demand side, water management, participatory governance, just to name a few. And she has been with DST, ICRISAT, Manage, and many more. Of course, both these girls are very young, but I see that they have an elaborate career. But today, we are just going to focus on making that elaborate career. How was it at a personal front, professional front? So, girls, are you all set? And we can go for it, Nadal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So, I'm going to ask very simple questions, and you both can take turns to answer them. And it's not really question and answer, but it is just to engage that conversation. So, maybe it's a good idea to really have the conversation starting with how did you land up in the water journey, or when was that you realized you belong to a sector which is so special like water? Go ahead.
Sure. So thanks so much for your question. Maybe if I have permission of Suchi, I can get started, and then
Yes.
and it's lovely to connect here with Mansi and Suchi. So I like to share that basically I was in my bachelor's so many years ago, and studying life sciences, and had no real plan of working on water as such, but more on the ecology elements of earth. But then there was a personal experience where there was a water scarcity in Delhi, and I missed my college on that day. I could not move out of the house because it was a total arrest kind of a situation, because there was actually no water. We weren't prepared. And then there was a lineup for a water tanker. I had to actually physically stand in a queue and collect half a bucket of water for my family. And I saw a conflict shaping up between very high level senior officials in the community and the tanker driver. So I really saw a snapshot of what water scarcity can do to us in a daily life, and that triggered my interest in water. So, a very short answer to your question, it was a very personal experience one day which still haunts me. I would just say that. Yeah. Thank you.
Nice, because still more than half of the country, and especially the half of the women of the half, they are still in that situation. So we are very much required. We are minority. Yes, Suchi?
Yes, yes. So actually I've known Suparna for quite some time now, but it's great listening to what actually inspired her to come to this sector. For me, it was quite incidental actually, because I come from the agriculture sector. I'm trained as an agricultural extension specialist, right? So I have looked at agriculture, at water, from a very as an input, which helps agriculture, right? It's just an input, and that's kind of interesting how my views are shaping and reshaping, I would say, and changing now. But also, I come from Tripura. And fortunately, that's not a water scarce state at all. Like we have
Yes.
abundance of water, right? So I haven't felt the necessity of water and how core it is to life and existence till I started working in the sector, started going into my field trips into the villages, talking to the women especially. And yeah, like I'm learning every day now. So while the journey has been incidental, it's opening up a lot of directions for me, and yeah, it has been a learning always.
Very interesting. And over the years, you must have realized it's not only about being in water, also about being woman in the water sector. So, my next interesting question is, you may agree or disagree with me, but as professional women, we tend to carry this hat of superwoman syndrome to do perfect in profession. And at the same time, we also have a responsibility of a family, whether married or unmarried or in different situation. And we are constantly in that, I will say, battle. But people like me over 30 years now, we learn the art of doing it. And I'm keen to understand from you, how are you doing it in your balancing act? And what are the nudges or what are the nuances that you would like to share with the younger generation about it? How are you doing everything, trying to be perfect, everything, or do you have a different idea about it?
How candid can we be?
It's an interesting question, isn't it?
um should I go ahead?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. Um, okay. So I think I'll be very honest here. I I think the art is in balancing. There was a time when I started first in my career. Uh, I was trying to do it all,
Yes,
work
we
in the
all do
office.
that.
Oh my God, right? But as I'm growing, what I'm realizing it is that when we are juggling so many balls, we are bound to drop a few, and it's okay to drop a few. Like, that's completely all right, but then also it's very important to prioritize, um, because we have a long career ahead of us, right? So 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours work hours doesn't really help. So definitely balancing is the act. Balancing is important. Another thing that I have learned over the years in my career is, the importance of working with good people, good collaborators, right? And that makes also the balancing very easy, like juggling very easy, because then you understand the support that you have. And I have been lucky enough to have a lot of women in this process, like know a lot of women who have helped me kind of prioritize, help me understand what should the priorities be, help me find that balance. And yeah, I mean, again, to reiterate, this is a balancing act. We will drop a few balls here and there, but yeah, it's always important to prioritize and also find out the great people, great women who are there in the profession, in our personal professional lives, work with them to kind of get the balance right.
I learned from you that balance is also an art form, whereas when we talk about art forms, balance does not show up anywhere. So that's a good learning for me, that it is not only an act, but it is also an art. So maybe some workshop on art forms of balance. It's not Pilates, it's not Tai Chi, but something more. Suparna?
Yeah, yeah, it's so interesting to actually listen to both you, Mansi, and Suchi, and I'm so happy to be doing this session with two strong women I learned from. So, Suchi and I've been having this discussion quite a bit
Yeah.
because we are in
And we are
different worlds.
formalizing it now.
Yes,
So,
yes, absolutely. So, seriously, I felt that, women in water sector, the kind of challenges I have faced are pretty recent, I would say. Maybe I'm a slow, bloomer. I would just say that, after my PhD, I took up a fellowship on understanding women in water management, looking at local governance in Assam and Arunachal. This was with the support of International River Foundation in Australia. But when it comes to the personal journey, it was hard hitting, particularly in the professional setup. So, my challenge is why, as a woman, I'm not able to rise up in the leadership ladder. So, to tell you the truth, I'm taking a professional course to build that. And
wow.
what I'm realizing is that water itself is a very masculine field. And
Hmm.
how women position themselves requires them to think differently, because you're expected to shed a few layers, like being gentle, being kind leader. It may not be appreciated in many places. So, you have to really think about it. It's not impossible, but the kind of leadership women bring to the organization is very inclusive. So that is the hope I'm going with, that women are more inclusive when it comes to leading in water. So it's very complex. It is also very disheartening on some days, but then sometimes it's a victory when you are being inclusive. Your job is half done, I would say. Yeah. Thank
Very
you.
interesting, because many of us who work on women and water, and most of the people, when they talk about women and water, we get into that situation where we are studying someone else. You know that because we are constantly sympathizing that Abala Nari syndrome, that there are these poor women who are having water problem and we have to do something about it.
Hmm.
And that's where I feel our research has a niche here, because I'm talking about the people who work for the people. So
Yes.
that's why this conversation. So it's
Hmm.
it's okay. It's when you are looking at someone else's problem, it is very different than looking at your problem as a.
Hmm.
So my problem or my research is about your problem or your life.
Hmm.
And I feel that the majority focus has been on the vulnerable women community, which is absolutely required. But having said that, my early realization in last 4 years heading the Wiki Water Resource Council is who is focusing on the women who are working on women. And that's why this research, by the way, and interestingly, Suparna already started answering my next question, which we move to the next segment to take it a little bit from personal to professional life. And I'm sure you both also reckon it, but we also have many common, connecting points with very strong women around the water sector. But you may agree with me that, as you, Suparna, has already mentioned it, but both of you have choice to disagree with each other and also with me. Huh? So
Yeah.
just that you know, because it's a candid conversation and it is aimed mainly to really reach out to younger women and men to accommodate all of us. So you may be landing up in situations where you are the only woman in the water discussions, or in many situations, not in the rural sector probably, where you find many women talking to you and all. In fact, personally, my experience is there has been more women participation in the rural sector than in the formal participations in official meetings and policy and all. What do you think when we talk about so much on women leadership, and good to learn, Suparna, you are doing a leadership program. Please highlight on that so that many women can also join. And I will also have a question about it towards the end. Why do you think that we have so less women professionals? We have more in the rural sector, as I mentioned from my own experience, in professional women in the water sector. The world tells me that 1 in 5 water professional is women. When I look at India, especially after 4 years of my research, I find it is even less than 1 in 10. What's your take on this?
I think if I can go first,
Please
Suchi.
go.
Yeah. So I feel that it also depends on what leadership looked like till now. It was probably, the kind of leadership skills based on which, selection happens. They're all male oriented. So as Suchi
Hmm.
said, 14 to 16 hours of work a day, that is now not how women's clocks are oriented. Plus there is always, it's very interesting for me to listen to a lot of male leaders talk about multitasking, and how I mean, men are so good at it, but it is
Wow.
such a contrast. Like, women are so much better at multitasking, so much better at managing emotions. And I think it is very, very important to bring it to the point that the leadership or the women in water needs to be rethought. Why? Because if you're measuring on the same criteria, that we want to make a selection between two candidates, and whether they are available 5 days, they are available to travel for so many days, they are not going to have issues of menstruation, they are not going to have plans for their children in the future, then your selection is very easy. You may just go for a male colleague, right? So I feel that the criteria we say we are having equality in selection. It has to be equity. We need to look at, if you really want to select a woman candidate in this one in five, and you want to make it 3 in 5 being women, you have to rethink about it. And that rethinking is very risky for decision makers. That is why women are excluded. Yeah, or otherwise they perform like male counterparts. Then they are included.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting, because many of the leadership programs I personally feel are teaching how to be men. And I am always afraid, and I'm very careful about women leadership, talking in many platforms around the world, that not to lose the femininity.
Yes.
Staying woman and becoming woman leadership will be a different discussion altogether. And actually redefining the very idea of leadership, as you rightly mentioned, and I add to it, redefining the very idea of being successful, you
Hmm.
know. Yes, Suchi?
I think Suparna has very well articulated, the situation. I'll just add to this is that there also has not been, wherever women are in leadership, right? When you say there has been not even 1 in 10, um, one of the reasons is also that participation of women has is still being tokenistic, right?
Mhm.
It is not it is not really a part of the system, but it's kind of an, because we have to, because manuals have been criticized so much, so let's add to women to kind of,
Yes,
so that we are not criticized. It's not that looking out for who the women are, and there are so many wonderful women researchers. Because I'm
yes,
a researcher, I'm talking about researchers. um, with so many wonderful women researchers around, but they are overlooked for the very reasons that Suparna has already mentioned, right? So it's the mental block is very real. um, and it's also not, definitely it is all those, right, that when a woman is juggling so many things, responsibility of home, responsibility at work, definitely they will not perform, or they are not supposed to perform like a man who doesn't have to do anything else, right? It's a very unfair comparison to begin with. I loved that interview of Indra Nui, where she was saying that, I have had world of help to be where I am. I was not worried about cooking for my children. I didn't have to worry. If I had to do all of that, probably I would not be who I am today. And that needs to be acknowledged, right? So how do we create that system? Exactly, again talking about equity. How do we create that system? That's one thing. But also, given men are now in leadership, it's not us that needs to change, it's them that needs to change, right? It's their thinking that needs to change. We can take up like Suparna said, right, that we are trying to do a lot more, right? We are taking up leadership because we are not in leadership. We do not see ourselves as leaders or see examples, right, in the leadership positions. We take up leadership courses. And rightly what you mentioned, that they teach us how to be men, right? But then how do we change that mentality? Like, why is it still so skewed, right? So I think the leadership trainings need to be more for men, how to be better leaders, rather than oriented at women, that how to be leaders, because women are leaders who are looking after the household, who are doing a wonderful job of whenever the responsibilities are given to them while juggling 10 other things, right? So I mean, yeah, change needs to start where change needs to be. I'll stop here.
You hit the nail and also speak my heart, and let me tell you, share something here, because many a times actually our previous participants, speakers here have also mentioned we should actually also do men in water. And trust me, once I finish this 100 sessions, which is my personal target for the research, I really wish to do engendering water and only get men talking about leadership. And I so much agree with you. And you both will actually now get a small article from me, which I submitted day before and hopefully to be published today or tomorrow. It's a citizen science article. That it's also a matter of imagination, that both men and women are not imagining and accepting women in the top positions. And one more thing which I strongly believe, I wish men stops working more hours and they do less working hours, professional hours, and spend more time in the family. So we will have lesser man-made disaster. The only word I like about men is man-made disaster. What we have done to the cities, to the world, to environment, it is all man-made disaster. So better men starts working less and spend more time in the family, or do multitasking just the way Suparna mentions. But we'll talk about men some other day. I want to come back to the interesting question of leadership still here. If we want to delimit or redefine leadership, I would like to know from you. I have still have one word from Suparna. I hold on to that word. What are the leadership skills the new generation, the new world should look at? We should also acknowledge that leadership is kind of a genderless or should be gender neutral position. But having living in patriarchal system, and not only in India, all over the world, it has somehow has a masculine shade. But if we have to redefine leadership where we don't look at the gender but still have to favor some women for some time, reservation in politics, which is what I have written the article about, taking cricket as an example. What do you think still some basic skill sets that we can inherit or learn from all kinds of leaders, be it Gandhi or be it Kasturba, or not only political leadership, but be it Vandana Shiva or be it Rajendra Ji? So, all genders.
Sure.
Some
Yeah.
skill
Suchi, would you
sets,
like to go?
maybe we have to change the leadership courses also, because that's where the change will start.
Exactly. Yeah. Suchi, would you like to go
Really?
first?
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so I think empathy is where I would start,
Mm,
because that makes great leaders.
mm,
Professional skills or technical skills, those are very easy to learn. I think empathy is
mm.
something. So when you say that women make better leaders, we need to understand what they bring to the table that men can't. And empathy is one of the biggest, I mean, one of the important skills I feel that they bring to the table. So I would start with that. Um, and
Can you teach
well,
empathy? Sorry to interject here. Can you teach empathy? Because you very well put, because that was my second question. Actually, maybe I just put it here so that you can answer both, because today we have two speakers and we still have to fit in 1 hour. Skill sets that are there, either you have it or not have it. I feel empathy classifies in that you have it or you don't have it, or you have to really be trained. And certain skills which are really required to be nurtured, which is what leadership schools are doing, trying to do that. Sorry, I go back to you. Yeah.
right. So can it be taught? Probably not fully, but still it is something that can be, to empathize, we can learn to empathize. I don't
Okay.
think that's very difficult to do that as well. So probably this is a skill that if we don't know how to do, that is a skill we need to acquire. I would say, I would put it like that. If we, yeah, I think that's it. I'll stop there. I think there are most other skills
Empathy is the line for the day.
is the light for me. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think everything gets embedded in it, you know.
Yeah, I had few other in the list, but now I think that if I talk about it, it will be repetitive. So I'll rather stop here.
Okay, Suparna.
Suparna, over to
Yeah,
you.
thanks for highlighting this. So, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here. Basically, I think there is a lot of lack of safe spaces for women to express. There is a very rigid professional boundaries,
Hmm.
which I did not experience much, but I would say that I must have experienced, but I did not realize it that these are
Hmm.
the professional boundaries where you have to act in certain manner to be a woman leader, and these
Hmm.
are defined. What a role model looks like in any particular institution. But I like to draw inspiration from very I mean realistic examples, like my PhD supervisor, my mother. I feel that they're revolutionary in their own stand.
Hmm.
Mansi, I think you are revolutionary in your own
Oh,
stand.
thank you.
Yeah, because speaking your mind without worrying much about, how will we be viewed is
Hmm.
a strength which I think I'm building very gradually. Secondly, I feel that the change can happen a lot in the educational space, in the higher
Hmm.
education, and certain courses which are probably not very high in demand but very required are like, women's studies, where actually I
Hmm.
have seen a lot of men also enroll as students,
Yes.
and there is a influence of that training in the house as well. So the
Hmm.
professional and the personal life, I think there I'm taking a risky approach here by sharing that
But it's
how
required. Both.
yeah,
Because if here doesn't change, profession is not going to. What we bring at home
yes,
goes
yes.
to the office.
Exactly, exactly. And I can see the intergenerational change as well. Just citing my
Hmm.
own family, like we are two sisters, and I see a difference in the way my father has been thinking about my mother and about us. So he's
Yes.
very, yes. So I bring it to his notice. You have to think about it that there are a couple of mistakes that have been made, and you are changing it for us because we are your children. But what about your counterparts? So I think it will take generations to realize that women leadership is very, very important, and how do we make that happen? So yes, over to you, Mansi.
Yeah, thank you. You made a very important point, and I think I have said this very bluntly on the face of my male friends. The very thing that you want to make your daughter Jhansi Ki Rani, I always use this word, and you know me that I'm a very brutally honest person. But you don't want that Jhansi Ki Rani to be living with you as your wife. I mean,
Hmm.
just to put it in a polite way, because we are in a formal setup in this meeting here. So imagine the other man who is going to take your Jhansi Ki Rani is just like you. So then all your effort is gone into, in the drain. I think they are still not imagining that situation. And we are in a situation in the society where women are getting empowered and developed through many kind of education and schemes and support from family. But I think in that comparison, men are not getting empowered and developed to accept and accommodate looking at women leadership or looking at powerful or open thinking women. Trust me, Suparna, for me to be like this person, you have to really go back to me talking to me about 20 years of my early career. I am still that bad woman, badass, broad, you can say, which is going to be the title of this book somewhere around. And I still remained in that zone in most of the women and men's mental map. But because I have grown past soul, that now I give damn to this. But of course, in the initial years, you really want to be in the good books of everyone. That is another burden we carry, part of the superwoman syndrome. But let me just go to the next. round of discussion here, and this discussion is about having a mass, and both of you are not part of Wiki Water Resource Council, and this program is running as part of my personal research, but also because I'm heading it and I feel a responsibility to create this mass, having a constellation or a kind of a group or association or council where we are visible. Because as an individual, this is my major learning from my life as well, that it takes a longer time to have that visibility. Not that I want to be visible, which is another finding from my earlier literature work, is that most of the women don't find it important even to be visible in the public domain or in the service or profession, which I personally feel is a disservice to the future coming woman. Because if I and this through this series, we are actually trying to create role models for girls and boys to know that yes, there are women who are doing work, and you better know them than just knowing all the male good leaders or good men. All men are also equally good, but it is just that we don't know, and many times women don't think that it is important to be part of a group, or it is important to document and disseminate their work as much as possible. I have heard on my face by many women, why do you want to self promote, why do you want to promote our work, it is not required, I am happy doing quietly, that is more important. And it is really difficult for me to tell them that your promotion is not for your personal promotion. It's a service to the society for future girls. That these are these women who exist, which means we can also exist. And in fact, we can go a step further. And now I'm really giving the example of cricket everywhere. If Jhulan and Mithali and many Anjum Chopra, they had not worked hard, the women would not have got the World Cup this time. It's not that this 11 people played and they just got the World Cup. It is not like that. So, what is your idea of being part of larger groups? I know you must be part of some council, some association which is related to your research area, which I find in most of the women. What is your experience of being in those kind of research groups, and would you not like to explore groups that are actually not literally in water, because in Wiki Water Resource Council it is not water, but it is more on women leadership. Have you been in any such kind of council? We would like to know that. And what is the difference between having a council or association or research group? What do you think you benefit, or what do you think you would like to get from such kind of groups? And maybe you can name the groups where you are part of, so we also get to know what are the other groups which are available. It may not necessarily be women, because this is only on women leadership.
Sure. Maybe I can go first.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks. So I think it's very important. I think this question of being part of a larger community is so important, because at this juncture in my age, I feel somehow I'm, fighting the battle by myself.
Mm.
But then I realized that I can always reach out for support, and it is not a battle in the real sense, but just to kind of, overcome my own biases, my own
Mm.
assumptions. So, we are not devoid of these stereotypes.
Mm.
We have a lot of them, and knowingly, unknowingly, we side with some particular stereotypes. So I feel that it helps to discuss it with someone and then get a focused approach. So right now, I'm largely part of the water networks, as you rightly said. Not so much in terms of women of my kind of research focus, policy research focus, or in general. But I think where I really got a real discussion was during my PhD time, when I had colleagues who were also my age group, and fighting really the stereotypes of getting married on time. That is the Indian way of doing things, and being really like victorious in just making a decision. I want to devote 5 years of my life to doing a PhD. And
Mm.
that was a real battle. And I think that really made all of us very patient, very strong. and gave us a new direction in life. So I look
Hmm.
forward to listening more on this group of wiki that you are mentioning, Mansi. I'm not fully aware of its scope, but I think it's very interesting. I've seen some posts of different women leading it and you leading the council. So maybe later on we can discuss a little bit. Yeah. Thank
Sure.
you so much. I think this support is so important. Yeah.
Thank you. I will also give a little bit brief of Wiki Water Resource Council, and it is also in nascent stage. So, and I am taking the responsibility to at least build it up. Maybe the future leader will take it a more step further. But I thought that the first building up has to be building a mass, and this is what the effort has been in. Your 90th session now. We are in that, and we have nearly 100 people already spoken in this 90 sessions. So, and not everyone is Wiki Water Resource Council member, but we want to know what other council or association you are part of. Suchi?
Yes. So I'm not part of any, but before that, it's a wonderful, initiative that you have taken, because it's so important to have those spaces. Suparna was talking about safe spaces in the leadership context, but in every context, just for a research support, I think this kind of systems, networks, they are really helpful. I Similarly, I'm not part of any specific network, women specific network. These are larger networks on agricultural extension and others,
Yes.
but more on the research focused. But I do understand, because I think we all have experiences in life informally having those networks, right? Be it our colleagues,
Yes.
group of colleagues that we are more close to, uh, colleagues we have worked in the past, our friends from PhD and master's days. um, and those networks, what they have taught us is, it's not just about dealing with the everyday or the professional challenges that come our way, but also I think it teaches us about claiming our space. And
Hmm.
that's very important. I feel like, because you were talking before that, you were talking about all the
I think we lost your sound. Oh. Suparna, do you hear her?
No, I also don't hear you, Suchi. Just,
oh,
yeah,
Now
now
we
you
hear
can.
you.
why now you can. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Last sentence, only last sentence we didn't hear.
Okay. Okay, my internet connection is a little bit unstable. Sorry. So I was saying is that, okay, I think I lost the train of thought, but my point was that, the patriarchy, I don't know if it is the right platform to talk about that, but also I feel, how the system is, including how patriarchy works, is it doesn't always give us the space to kind of express ourselves,
Hmm.
in a way that we do in a woman-only space. I'll give you an example from a recent field work, and I do keep quoting it again and again. So I was having this conversation with a group of women, in the Bundelkhand region, and I was asking them about if they are part, if they attend the Gram Sabha, or if they attend those short meetings, small meetings at the community level that happen regularly. And they're not very happy with the line of questioning. And then someone told me that, हम औरतों को ऐसे जगह जाना शोभा नहीं देता. I hope all of you, at least most
Yes.
of your audience, can understand Hindi, but if not, it means that it is not really nice for women to go to those spaces, where men are already making the decisions. And that kind of showed me the how in like how imbibed patriarchy is amongst us.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
realize it, but we also do say things and do things of a similar kind, right? And these women only spaces, or these kind of networks where we have supportive people, I would not call them women only, but people who understand and who support the causes of feminism and such, of equality. um, these are very important to, be it, to hone our leadership skills, to give us the safe space to open up, to help us claim our own spaces, in anything. And these kind of reflects in our professional careers as well, our professional decision making, how we deal with other people. um, So while I'm not part of formal networks, I am very lucky to be supported or to be part of groups of, women and friends in the profession and outside the profession who do understand these nuances, and I do learn from them every day. But another space I would definitely add, that another space that I
Sure.
actually learn from is in my field works. When I go to the field, I talk to these women. They're so, I mean, so inspiring, right? Recently, I was in Purulia, and the women were telling me that, when they were initially started being part of SHG, they were telling me that they started going to these meetings, but no one liked it, neither the women nor the men. Sometimes men would come in front of their houses at night, fully drunk, and berate them. And they had to live through all of that. And obviously, their family members were not happy about it. But then they stuck to each other, right? And they continued doing what they were doing because they believed what they were doing was right. And now it has been about 10 years, like I was talking about this, like happening a decade back. But now they were telling me that when there are these kind of community meetings, they are the people who are called first. No decision about their communities, their villages gets taken without their
Hmm.
consent. So they have claimed their space, they have taken up that leadership role. And this is so inspiring how they have kind of stuck to it. They have claimed the position that they deserve, and that happened because they all were together. Sorry, they all were together as well. So I just don't learn from the people around me, but I also learn from these people. They kind of invite me to their spaces, tell me their stories, and it's so inspiring.
Yeah, very interesting for me as well to know this experience, because I have learned it hard way that this formal setup, it's not literally an official setup, but even having this mass of nearly 100, we have just touched 100, including young women water enthusiasts who are doing their research or have completed. I feel this formal setup is kind of a responsibility, and trust me, with anything I find in social media, LinkedIn, or anywhere there where there are men sitting, I just tell them. Earlier, I used to tell them very brutally as I am as a person, but now I also tell them, if you really need women speakers and women to sit in that room, please reach out to us, because we have a bunch of women and I'm sure you also know them. And maybe why not, as a transition, we may have to accept those tokenism situations which we are in right now. That in many platforms in Niti Aayog and Ministry of Jal Shakti, I have made this point when they are doing these events, that women are actually there as tokenism, as we were talking. But if they get to know that we have this network, we have this council, which can be called anything else also, there are some other women council as well, or association, maybe the mass will be seen or heard. It's just like it's a larger group. So I mean, I'm just keen to understand from you, to have this as a formal setup like we are trying to form. Of course, it's a long way to go. It is just new, and maybe people don't recognize or appreciate. For that matter, many council members are still trying to understand why this council, what to do. And I keep telling them that a council is good as long as you give to it. You have to offer something to that community. At the same time, of course, you will have some expectation. I can understand from young people that they will only join when they know what they will get out of it. But I also feel that this is kind of an investment. Like any research is an investment, I feel investing in council for the longer run. But it is also difficult for young people to think about long term of the society when they have immediate needs. But I feel that if we can think like that, we have a longer service to the society, which we all want to do. So I'm just keen to understand from you that if you are part of those councils or members in them, what kind of expectations maybe your generation people have from these groups, and what kind of service or skill sets you are offering, so that more and more women can be encouraged and can join. Do you think you would like to do that also with Wiki Water Resource Council? This is also a time I would like to invite all of you, both of you, and also I see some people on the YouTube. It's a no give and take in terms of financial thing, embedded with the commerce in industry organization, and of course led by a woman. But I must also tell that in Wiki Water Resource Council we have actually invited men who are our advisors as well. So just to name a few, we have Vishal Narayan, who has been advising very much to personally to me also to how to do this. We wrote paper together, we presented in World Water Week. Just to give an example, I have Suresh, who has been constantly supporting me doing these conversations. Dr. Suresh Rohila, Vishal, and Bijoy Thomas. I'm just naming few. And I think the role of mentors are equally important. So while we seek you as council members, when I'm saying you, as I mean our speakers, we also seek a mentor in you for future generation. So I'm keen to learn from you the skill sets you can offer and the skill sets you would like to, achieve from the council.
Yeah, I think this is really, really interesting. Yes, please, Suchi, you go
No,
first.
no, no, go ahead.
Okay,
It's
thank you. So yeah, I think mentorship is something we do, implicitly. I think
Yes.
that is very important continuity that we have, both for men and women.
Yes.
Because I think as we move on to the next generation, I'm very hopeful that the gender differences are much lesser.
You
They're
say
much more
yes.
aware about gender, like sensitive responses, and they are also more agile to learning. So
Hmm.
I have a big hope from the youth, and I think mentoring them when they reach out is also a great way of contributing to the community at
Hmm.
large. So definitely, I think that's a very important thing that you have highlighted, Mansi. And besides skills, it is also just to unpack the situations we are in. So
Hmm.
sometimes we misread the situation, because it's important to understand, are we doing justice to the person who is at loss? So it's,
Hmm.
that is a very tricky and ambiguous area, and I also find it quite challenging sometimes, because we, based on our stereotypes, may consider
Hmm.
certain situations not
Yes.
in our favor. Yeah, so that is something I'm, feeling that you need to have an objective lens, and
Hmm.
that's very challenging. Being a woman, being a senior, I think, water professional. So I feel that just to make a sheet of what this situation is trying to tell us. So I think in that, mentorship can be more implicit also,
Hmm.
and explicit in terms of skills to basically just not understand that you are at a loss. First thing is that I mean I've written a clear sentence for myself also, that I'm not less than anyone. First, because
Hmm.
I need to change my own view first. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, self leadership, this is the term that the course has that I was doing, that I am doing with International Water Center, based in Australia. First step to leadership is self leadership. Yeah,
Hmm.
so I leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
That's so wonderful. Yeah, it's so wonderful. And I think Suparna has summed up everything that I wanted to say. But I would reiterate, because it's very important to reiterate the point of mentorship. Um, Anyone who knows me knows how much I rant about it, um, about the importance of having good mentors. And we do not have them. It's very difficult to find them. It's not that we do not have them. Most of us, we do not know how to have access to them, right? And this kind of networks does exactly that. So when you were saying, Mansi, and I think this is where I disagree with you, when you were saying that young people with all might think that what they might get out of it, actually this is what they're looking for. Many young people are actually looking for mentorship. Us who are kind of, me personally, I'm now making the transition from a early career to a mid career researcher, that's what I look for. I desperately need a good mentor, but it's very difficult to have access to them because we are always not part of the right networks. We are not always, we do not always know whom to approach, should we approach. So these kind of networks actually exactly gives us that. So it's mentorship. I think skills, etc. These are much easier, to build up if we once have that network. Once we have that support system. These things are something that organically develop. So just building those networks and having this mentorship, I think that can do wonders. Yeah, I'll stop here.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's also a good time that I must mention that it's not only because of Wiki WRC I am doing this, or through W for W, Suchi, you are unaware of it, maybe soon you will be speaker there as well. But personally, when I was growing up, I also found this lacking. And trust me, today I spend more than half of my time doing mentorship only to younger people or mid-career. And it is not that I do it because I have to do it, but I feel people coming and flowing, and it's just a connect, and I kind of feel a responsibility, that something which I could not find in my young age and mid career. I feel that there is this serious void. I cannot fill that void, but at least I can do my bit. And honestly, for many years, half of my time goes in doing mentoring for people, young friends, colleagues, and somehow Wiki WRC came as a formal setup to do it, focusing on women leadership in water. But people have walked to me from emotional to professional bandwidth, to seek what to do next. And many of the women, young women who come to ask me to do further studies because they want to avoid marriage. I'm just giving one example. What next if not marriage? So that has been one of the common discussions here, but good that we are flowing and we are coming close to the closure as well. That brings me to the last question, which you have already started responding in some way, but my last question is in two parts, and very simple question. It's your message, which we want to use it later as a blurb or a snippet. It has to be really crisp, so you don't have time to think, but you have to just go spontaneous. Two messages. Why it is important that we must join water sector, and it's of course gender fluid question. Uh, and the second question is, what are the simple behavioral steps we need to take up to engender the water sector in the professional space? Over to you, and then we close.
Did I?
Yes, go
Yes,
ahead.
yes.
Okay. Very difficult. Why water?
Difficult. I thought simple questions.
Oh, simple is not always easy. But jokes apart, why water? Water is at the core of everything. And me personally, like I mentioned in the beginning, that I'm coming from agriculture to water and learning how important it is. Agriculture is, water is at the core of everything. So it has its own technical aspects, it has its social aspects, ecological aspects. So it dominates everything, and that's why water. I mean, without water, where's life? So definitely water. Next question was, I think, simple behavioral steps to simple behavioral steps to
Engender the water sector.
engender the water sector. Yes. Create space. I think we need to create space for more and more women. It has not been done enough. It has not been done systematically. We need to get systematical. We need to get intentional about it. So open up the space, get more and more women into the space. Stop here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
wonderful. Thanks so much, Suchi. I'll just, I'm thinking very, I mean, candidly here. I think water has a lot to teach us. The way water flows and, the kind of, peace we get. Like when I think of a relaxing place, I think of a beach. That is the nature of water. When I think about, a risk, I think of tsunami. So, water has a lot to teach us, and I think I will say be like water. When it comes to the second question, be calm and peaceful where required, be aggressive where required. So, be like a tsunami where the situation calls when it comes to women and water, and be calm as well. So I think that matches the trait of women. And just remembering that all rivers in India are actually having a feminine name except Brahmaputra. So there is a lot of gendered relation with the naming of the rivers. Even the history of India teaches us that. So I would just stop at that. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, both of you. Give me my memories from Taoism, Be Like Water, and you may also love to listen to my TED Talk on Be Like Water. And it was really, really important that we learn something from being like water. But also, you give me an opportunity to quote from Rumi as well, my two favorite people who have used water extensively to explain how we should behave. And you both also showcased today that you may be a little drop in that ocean of profession, but in that little drop, I can see at least the ocean embedded. So thank you so much, Suparna and Suchi, for this wonderful conversation. And we can continue this conversation because the idea is really to have more and more women talking about it, and not in a formal setup. It is deliberately designed in such a way, but we do intend to do a research out of it and come up with small coffee table book for us to tell the society that we exist. It's not an existential question, but it is only to make a point that women are working on it. It is just that we are blinded, that we are not seeing their contribution in the society. History has always been unkind to women's contribution in every sector. It's not only in water. In fact, water is one of the lucky sectors where women contribution is actually more recognized, because families cannot run without water. So thank you so much for this enlightening interaction. I really felt the conversation was flowing like water, and I do hope that you also felt the same. I enjoyed it thoroughly. To be honest, may you remain an inspiration to others, and we are so grateful that we could have this water conversation and learn an ounce of your water endeavors. And we do hope that in future you will keep us posted about whatever you are doing. And we also hope that you will think of joining Wiki Water Resource Council as a council member. We can discuss about it outside this session. We will continue with Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. And of course, I must announce that actually we will close at 100 sessions and maybe design something new to talk about engendering water. Let's see. We are very close to 100 sessions. We hope to complete before the World Women's Day this time, or World Waters Day in 2026. Till then, you may keep following us in the social media. We do not have a website, but the social media is full with information on women in water sector. And it's also the social media of Wiki Water Resource Council. What a great conversation. Thank you so much, girls. Please take care and stay connected. And thanks once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
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 Bye.